So we are back again for the second episode in this series. Now we talked about what we thought was 25th on the list of the most defining events in Indian cricket last time, and we got a lot of comments. First of all, thank you very much for the response. I'm as excited about this series as I hope all of you are, and that's why I have a feeling that today's episode would excite many of our viewers, especially those in their late 20s, because today we talk about a rare India win on one of the toughest frontiers that happened around 16 years ago. And if you watched our first episode, we even dropped a little hint there about the moment that goes at number 24 on our list of the most defining events in Indian cricket. So in September 2007, India were crowned the T20 World Champions, right? Just a few weeks later, the 50-over World Champions, the Australians, landed in India, as if to inquire whether things had actually changed in Indian cricket. Or was the World Cup T20 win a mere fluke? Remember, India had knocked them off in a semi-final in that tournament, but the Aussies left India with both pride and confidence intact. They won the 7-match ODI series 4-2. In fact, the series was decided even before the final ODI. That's how dominant the Aussies under Ricky Ponting were. Now, this was October 2007. Less than 5 months down the line, the shoe was on the other foot. Cricket, as they say, is a great leveler. On the 4th of March 2008, an MS Dhoni-led India had not only won a white ball series in Australia, but won it fairly convincingly. And more importantly, it was a huge feel-good series because India had not won a white ball tournament in Australia since that World Series Cup back in 1985. But truth be told, it was not just about the history that made this win more special. The recent history was actually darker, murkier, and needed something special from this Indian team. I'm sure you get the drift. I'm talking about the infamous Sydney Test that was played just a month before the ODI series kicked off. That test, in my personal opinion, was one of the most tense and definitely one of the most forgettable matches that I have seen. The first 3 days of the match saw some remarkable cricket action. Sachin got a ton, so did VVS, both of them ensuring their love affair with the SCG continued. India looked ahead in the match with a 60-run lead after the first innings, and that's when the wheels started coming off. There were some words exchanged between Harbhajan and Simons. Nobody knew at that time the implications of that exchange. But the days that followed were ugly and difficult to accept in professional cricket. Eventually, the way the match ended, many felt that not only were India robbed of a result they deserved, but it was one of the more ugly performances you'll see, where the line that everybody talks about, the line that shouldn't have been crossed, in my view, was erased. It won't happen again. So that tension was still in the air when the tri-series involving Sri Lanka also kicked off in February. Meanwhile, something pivotal had also happened in Indian cricket between that ODI series against Australia at home and this tri-series in Australia. MS Dhoni was now the white ball captain, and in one of his first decisions as captain, Dhoni and the selection committee decided to move on from 2 of India's most prolific white ball batters in ODI cricket. So India had instead come for the tri-series with a fairly young-looking team, and that's why it made it doubly interesting to see how these youngsters led by MS would respond to the tense environment and the challenge of playing in Australia where crowds can be unsparing. And well, they responded in just the way the whole of India wanted them to. Ishant Sharma announced himself with the ball, did well in white ball cricket. Rohit Sharma provided solidity and class in the middle order. Gautam Gambhir proved his pedigree with more than 400 runs. But you know, amongst these electric guitarists, there's someone still playing the sitar in the background and absolutely rocking it. For far too many times, he had left Australian shores empty-handed. But not this time. He saved his best for the last, and with knocks of 117 and 91, sealed the series for the team in just 2 finals. Interestingly, the team particularly wanted to close the tournament in 2 finals and didn't want to take it to final number 3. And well, they did just that. I don't think Sachin had a 3rd final in him. Also, mighty impressive in this series was the way in which MS led the team. With this win coming just 5 months after the World T20 win, he showed that youth was the way forward. And very interestingly, he told his players not to be overawed by the Aussies. In fact, he specially instructed them not to go overboard with the celebrations, lest we make it look like this win means everything to India. Not very surprising then that India would go on to win so many more trophies under MS. So that was event number 24 on our list, the first significant one-day win over Australia in Australia. Maybe seeing this dominant Indian white ball side today, one might ask, what's the big deal about a tri-series win? But in March 2008, with the clouds of Sydney still hovering, accusations still flying thick and fast, and no returns for 23 years, this win meant a lot. Not only to the squad in Australia, but to the entire country. For those who stuck around, there's a little question for you to end this video with. Which Aussie bowler who had managed to get Sachin out in the ODI series held in India received a signed photo by the little master saying, "It will never happen again"? Mind you, Sachin was particularly severe on this bowler in the Test series when India toured down under that year. So send in your answers, and I'll see you next week with another episode of this series. If you're enjoying this series, and I hope you are, do hit the subscribe button.